So it's been a couple weeks since I recorded the other videos about the CXS, doing both the demo and the initial preview. Now for the preview, I had it for a couple weeks, tried it on a number of different projects in and around here, plus just plain grabbing a big bolt and trying to pop it into some wood and see how it did. So I really enjoyed it at the time. Since then, I've gotten to use it a lot more in just, less review mode, but more just I'm doing things in the shop mode. As you can see, there's a lot of things going on in the shop. All this mayhem happened in the last 4 days. So along the way, I ended up removing several things that were attached to walls, tools that were attached to torsion box bases, new tools moved and attached to new ones. So I was driving, these lag bolts. I bought a huge box of these. I've been removing and adding these all over the place in the shop. So I've got a lot of drywall patching to do later. But the CXS handled them very well. I know the C12 would have done them without any grumbling or groaning, but the CXS, you could tell, was thinking about it a little bit. But honestly, for the amount of times that I drive these lag bolts, I would have had absolutely no problem at all if the CXS was the only drill that I have. In fact, the only reason why I was using the C12 a little bit was I just put the drill bit that I needed in it so I wouldn't have to swap it out. One of the things that struck me the most about the CXS is that there were a couple places in particular I had some clamp racks that were mounted to the back here, and there's a lot of things in the way. Now, of course I can move those things if I wasn't lazy, but it was very nice that the C12 actually wouldn't fit in there very well. I know because I had to move those things to put the clamp racks up in the first place. But with this one here, it was really easy to sneak it back there, just let it run a little bit till it found the screw head and remove the screws. So it was really, really nice to have such a small, nimble drill driver. Now, one thing I didn't talk about in my first review video is the use of the eccentric chuck on the C12. Now, this is definitely a chuck that lets you get into some tight corners if you've watched my Centrotech chuck demo video. Now, the reason the CXS doesn't really come with that is if you were to look at this chuck, line it up with the barrel of the CXS, you'll see that the eccentric, the drive shaft that comes off the eccentric chuck is basically aligned with the one that's already on the CXS. So in essence, you're getting an eccentric chuck with all of your use of the CXS. So it's really good at getting into some small areas. So after tinkering with these drills, this one here I bought a long time ago, been using it, it's always on my bench. Now, because of the WCR, it's always on the front hook. And since I've received this one here, actually, I very rarely use this one, except when I was doing some of the holes here, I'd put a pilot bit in here, and then I'd use the driver head in this one. If knowing what I know today of these two drills, I would almost say that I would definitely buy the CXS over the C12. Now, granted, later this year, there's going to be a lithium-ion version of the C12, and then there's also going to be a C15 introduction, which is going to definitely be a much more powerful drill driver, much like the C12 versus, say, a T15. So, in that sense there, you have actually two very different category of drill drivers with the C15 versus, say, the CXS. But I'm thinking that these two are so close to being on par that I would have a difficult time justifying buying both. And if you were to go and buy one today, I would almost, unless you've got a real big need for these big lag bolts, I'd say just go with the CXS. You'll save yourself a little bit of money. The CXS is just so light and easy to handle that it's super comfortable. There's nothing more comfortable than this drill. The ergonomics on this drill are really, really good. So I guess that's where I would put the review at. And I have to also admit that even though I did all that work this weekend, taking out lag bolts is going to take out a battery. I charged this battery before doing the demo video because I didn't want, say, this one here having a full charge on its battery and this one here having a partial charge affecting any of the results. They shouldn't because of the electronic control, but I wanted to make sure I took that variable out. So since then, I still haven't charged this battery.